Hello and Namaskar Instafam. I'm Shilpa, moderator for this session. Today we will discuss a topic which is more important than just sitting in the exam. Because unless we are not calm and confident, we cannot let our brain to churn out best. So today we bring you a session on stress management for CAT 2022 because CAT exam is just around the corner and scantly saying your brain needs to be more focused than ever to sit in any of the entrance exam. So I'll quickly tell you the agenda for today's session, how to deal with pre, during and post exam stress, tips to stay calm, stress-free, motivated and confident, dealing with memory blocks, effective revision a day before examination, manage time during exam, don't fear failure. This is a dictum which people just say it, but how to just cope up with this thing, we are just going to discuss in this session particularly. Dealing with distraction during the exam, and these are the agenda for our today's session. Now, you guys have to give me a second so that I can add our today's guest to this conversation, and it's related to our today's topic of discussion. Then you guys can share either in the comment section or in the Q&A section. I hope you can see at the bottom. Then I will try my level best to take all your questions and get it answered from our today's expert. So Anadi, so first of all, can you just tell us about yourself quickly so that we can just start, because we have already waited along for you guys to just join in this conversation.
Yeah. So my background is an engineering background. So I completed my electronics and communication engineering in 2021. And then post that I joined MBA in IIM Calcutta. So currently I'm in the second year of my MBA in IIM Calcutta. And I interned at Bank of America as an equity research analyst. And yeah, I take a very keen interest in all the financial markets and watch sports in my free time.
Okay. Thank you, Swarnidhi, for that brief introduction. I think the another panelist is taking time to join in, so I think I should just begin with you, so he can just join us in between. So you have already cleared one of the difficult examination for the management studies, I would say. So all the topics that we are going to discuss related to stress management when it comes to examination, I think you can relate better because you had been at that stage, and now even still you are a student but experienced one. So I think your experiences will help us more. So when we just talk about stress is just, it's a cyclic process overall. It sustains during the pre, during and post examination scenarios. If I just talk about holistically, if I'll talk about. So how to deal with the stress in all the three stages? What do you think?
Well, I think in the pre-stage, it becomes even more important because that is the stage where you sort of have control over whatever happens in the exam. So I feel that personally for me, what worked out well was focus on your preparation well. I mean, with a certain degree of preparation that you have, I think more confident you get, more the marks you give, and that's where the stress relief comes to a lower levels. There has always been self-doubts, but then I think more and more mock tests, and then obviously backing your own skills is something which I look forward to, because in my time I remember that I had given so many mocks that more mocks I had given, the more it was easier for me, the more I could back my skills, and I know that I can sort of deliver a par performance on the D-Day. So I think focusing on your preparation is more important. On the D-Day, I feel like it's more about doing the basics right, going to the routine right. I mean, have a good amount of sleep. Do not panic too much. I mean, there might be a time when you might feel that okay, this exam is not exactly going what it should have been, but I think it's in those situations where you need to remind yourself that, I mean, if you're feeling the pressure and if you have had good preparation, then most others in the hall will also be feeling the same. So that is something which I keep myself reminding of, and that is how I back my skills.
So let's welcome our another panelist before we just go ahead with the discussion. We have Singh with us. We welcome you, Kaustubh.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, just to connect the discussion we were having with Swarnidhi, we were discussing about how to handle stress in three stages. What are the three stages? Pre, during and post examination. So we already had word from Swarnidhi. What your take on this? How to deal with it?
Right. So first of all, I would like to thank shiksha.com for having this session at this point. And it's really important to realize that it is not at all advisable to take any sort of stress at this point. And the reason is that it is obviously going to affect your performance in the wrong way. And that is why it is really important to stay focused right now, not take too much stress based on the syllabus, or maybe if you're thinking that you have missed something, you should have prepared, or maybe you should have spent some more hours on solving the ALR sets, or should have brushed up some more concepts on quants. Now is not the time to look back on that. And now is the time to brush up your strengths, look forward in the areas that you think you can capitalize on, and go into the D-Day with that mindset and rock the exam.
वंडरफुल. पर अगर मैं रियल लाइफ सिनारियो की बात करूं, ये सारे लोगों के लिए, इवन आई वाज अ स्टूडेंट, stress affects performance. You said it. Even Swarnadeep said it in somewhere around that stress affects the performance. So not to take much stress, but what we can do, we are students, we take stress, right? And when we take stress, we cannot keep ourselves calm. Though the people say keep yourself stress free. So how to, even I'm stressed, but how can I keep myself stress free? How to just be motivated and confident all the time? So first let's discuss it with Swarnadeep, and then I'll come to you, Costa. Over to you. Sorry.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's easier said than done. I mean, we realize that people at this stage will feel it, but the point here is that you must also remind yourself, of the future consequences. I mean, no exam is like, it's a question of life and death. I mean, personally, I have this funda that I think everyone is quite privileged enough. I mean, irrespective of whatever you do in the exam, you will still have a roof over your head on the night, and you will still have food on your plate. So I don't really feel that any exam is life and death. And I think just reminding yourself of whatever the consequences will be, you can manage it with that. I think it's important. And people sometimes tend to over stress on things, and that is a problem. I mean, in general, you have plenty of opportunities in life, and it's always good to come in a free state and in a fearless state, I would say. That helps me.
It's a request to everybody, just stop spamming. I can see all the comments. Kaustubh, you had talked about one thing, brush up your strength. Being a student, how can I know what are my strengths?
Yeah, so if you have put in the hours, you must have given a lot of mock tests and sectional tests by now. And you would have realized that, first of all, within VAR, CDILR, and quants, what are the sections that you are good at and what you are maybe not so good at. And within the sections as well, what are the specific areas that you feel you can capitalize, you feel confident about. So you maybe need to go back and look at those topics and make sure that you don't get those wrong on the D-Day, rather than hustling over some topics that that are far from your comprehension at this point, and you're still trying to make it work. So that was what I meant. And yeah, rightly said by Swarnadeep regarding the fact that you don't need to take it as the only opportunity that you have. You are going to get loads and loads of opportunity, and that should be your mindset. And having said that, like taking stress is really not advisable, especially on the D-Day. So, especially on the D-Day, maybe you can focus on getting your mind off from the exam by doing something something that excites you, something entertaining that gets your mind off from the exam for a while. So that would be a good shift in the in your mindset.
Okay, the moment we get question paper, we get confused. Sometimes we are just, completely scared and shaken up that we don't even after knowing answer of the questions, we just fail in writing things, answering it. So what could be a strategy to attempt it perfectly?
Right. So,
So I think we can, yeah.
Yeah, of course we can do first.
Kaustubh, okay, you can speak up.
yeah, sure. So, I would like to share my strategy first, and I would like to share some of the things that worked for me rather. So, first of all, while attempting the exam, uh, I would usually go for a strategy that within VARC, I used to attempt the RC part first and then followed the VA. So in VARC, my strategy was to not focus so much on accuracy and attempt all the questions in the as quickly as I can. So that was one thing. Within DILR, it was very different. It wasn't about more attempts, it was more about accuracy. And I tried to attempt fewer sets with higher accuracy. Also, I focused more on LR questions that were more LR centric because I felt that that was my strength and left the DI questions for later. And that strategy quite worked out quite well for me during the exam. But for people, it would be very different for everyone. Uh, but that's why I said that this worked for me, but might not work for everyone. But it's important to have a clear strategy in mind before going to the exam. So those were the things that I I kept in mind while giving the exam. Before giving the exam, as I said, it was important to keep my mind off of the exam on the D-Day. So I personally enjoy playing chess a lot. So I played a lot of chess games on that day, and that kind of helped me de-stress. And during the exam, I was able to focus better. Over to you, Swandeep.
Yeah, right. So I think, as you rightly pointed out, I mean, strategy is a very customizable entity, and it sort of varies from people to people. But yeah, I also I interacted with a lot of people who have cleared CAT, and I think the general consensus is that you should avoid questions where you feel like you'll get stuck for a long time. You know, it's an exam which demands a lot of time management, and hence I rightly feel that I had the strategy that if I am stuck in a particular LRDI sum or a quant sum, let's say for more than 1.5 minutes, I would rather let that go because I think you can better utilize your time doing things where you will get marks at a faster rate than just sticking to a single question. So I think that just depends what's your threshold limit. But I would say clearly, 1.5, 2 minutes should be the upper limit of any question you should have, because beyond that, it gets a bit, sticky with one or two questions, and then suddenly you find yourself in a spot of bother.
Thanks to both of you for sharing your strategies. But when we just talk about the speed and accuracy, how you guys just master that? Kaustav, you can start.
Yeah, so I can't say if I can tell you a strategy to master it, but I can tell you what worked best for me. So for VARC, like I said, for me it was attempting as many questions as I could, and this is something that I realized over the course of 5 to 6 months, the duration for which I was preparing and giving mock tests and sectionals. So during that time, I realized that in VRC, I was somehow stuck up on an accuracy range of 60 to 70%. And I felt that if I attempted a lesser number of questions, I might not get to the score that I want. So in order to maximize my score, I had to maximize my attempts in VRC. But when it came to DILR, it was very different. It was more about accuracy because I felt that my accuracy was over 90% in DILR. And I felt that if I don't get a lot of negatives, I would land with a good score. I would end up with a good score. And this is what I stuck by during the exam. There were moments in the exam, like Swandeep pointed out, that things weren't quite working out well. But I stuck to this and really glad that it worked out.
Yeah, I think very similar to what it did. I mean, the journey of giving a lot of mocks is a beautiful journey in the sense that you tend to discover your strengths and weaknesses with respect to the paper. And for me also, it was very similar. I mean, DILR, I used to be very, very selective. I remember giving out the first 10 or 12 minutes just to select sets. I mean, I wouldn't do single sum, but I would just rather prioritize which ones to do. And I think that really worked out well for me because once I knew a clear priority order in my head, I think it was very, very clear that if I'm doing it in this particular time, I will do it. Otherwise, I'll go on to the next one. And I had the order very much sequenced out in the beginning. So I think that is something which you might try. But again, it's a very, very customizable thing. And you will discover yourself throughout the mocks.
Okay, okay, got it. So I hope you can see a comment I have just pinned. Cat tips. So any tips? Swarnadeep, let's begin from you.
So I
Any
think
tips?
it's all a
Your
game.
time.
It's all a game of practice. I feel. I think the more you practice, the better you will be. Because all three section, I mean, if you leave maybe a class 12 student with the entire paper for the whole day, he will probably solve it easily. But the challenge here is in 2 hours time or in whatever time you have to do the maximum number of questions. So it boils down to practice and it boils down to knowing yourself, knowing your strengths, which ones you can do. So I would advise that no matter whatever you have studied or whatever formula you have memorized, you should always go for a lot of practice and a lot of mocks, because that's when you will start realizing how to manage time and score maximum marks in a limited amount of time.
Yeah,
Kaustubh, anything
completely.
you would like to add? Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. And just one thing that worked for me personally, not just in CAT, but in other high stakes competitive exams as well, is that while giving the exam, your entire focus should be on moving to the next question as quickly as you can. Don't think about anything, just think that how can you solve the question in front of you in the shortest amount possible and move to the next one.
We have a next question. How to get 100 percentage, so. Okay. Swanedeep.
Yeah, I wish I could have got that, and I would have been in a better position to answer. But honestly, my percentile was 99.92, so I'm not sure if I'm the right person to answer that. But I would say that yeah, percentile is something which depends on others' performance as well, not just your performance. So I'm not sure of 100 percentile, but yeah, if you want to score a really high percentile, I would say focus on your own strengths. And again, as I said, it's a game of practice. Just walk towards that. Do not, I mean, 99.9 or 100 percentile ranges requires a bit of luck as well on the D day. So that is not something which you can control. But what you can control is your preparation that you have had throughout, and just have control over that.
Kaustubh, your point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. Even I missed out on 100, and the only thing that I can say is that you need to stick to your strategies, even if you feel like they're not working out. So when I was giving the exam, I remember that in the VARC part, I was a bit stuck on a lot of questions, and there were 26 questions in the set, and my strategy was to attempt all 26. And I had been doing that consistently in the mocks, but somehow I managed to do only 24 on the D-Day. And I felt like it was going downhill from there. I started DILR on a very negative note. For the first 8 minutes, I couldn't solve a single question. But then I sort of recollected myself and reminded myself that, I should back my strengths. I'm not that bad. And that reinforcement helped, and I was able to bounce back. So, yeah.
So I hope you guys can see a comment I've just pinned. How to take care of negative influence in social group has been asked by Sharad Verma. So
Yeah,
Swanedeep.
so I think it's important. I mean, what kind of people you are with, because they say you are the average of the people you interact with. So from that sense, I would say that in my journey as well, because I was a gem fresher, and many people said that you need work ex to get into a good IIM, you will need those scores and everything. But I think when someone criticizes you, I won't say that neglect that completely, but again, know your own skills and know your own skill set. Because I think one good thing that happened with me was, despite all the noise that was there, I pretty much had confidence on myself. I knew that whatever people say, I have to have the belief that I can do it, and you are the only person who matters in your life. So I would say have those confidence on your skills.
Okay. So if I'll talk about revision, we are just left with 2 days maximum, not even 2 days, 1.5 days or something like that. So is revision advisable at this point of time? Cost of what you have to say.
Right. So, firstly, it completely depends on the individual. If you want to revise something, but revision is giving you headache and making you anxious, it's advisable to stay away from it. But on the other hand, if you feel like there is a critical concept that you need to go through before the exam, and that would give you the extra confidence that you have encompassed the entire syllabus or something like that, then maybe you can look up for a few tips here and there. And again, it is completely on the individual. You should do whatever is making you comfortable right now, whatever is helping you stay in the right frame of mind right now.
स्वर्णदीप एक मतलब अगर हम देखें एग्जामिनेशन हॉल में बच्चे क्या करते हैं कि जो माइक्रो नोट्स दे डू प्रिपेयर, दे जस्ट गो थ्रू इट just before the examination. So, according to your experience, is it advisable to do such things, such activities? What do you think?
No, not at all. I mean, I feel that not at all. I mean, it's not advisable because I think that that last moment is a bit of a panic study. I mean, and panic study never does any good. I would say whatever happens, you have the maximum time that you can take to finish your division is the day before to the CAT. And that you should have a good night's sleep, and you should be in a relaxed state of mind in the day before as well. And forget on the D-Day, I wouldn't even bother revising anything because there was enough time to revise. And if you're leaving it that late, then I'm not sure if it's the right approach or not. And also, I think people need to realize this, that when your brain is crammed up in the very last minute, it doesn't help in an exam like CAT where your computational skills are put to test. So I think it's not a memory game; it's a computational game. So I would say go in a relaxed and fresh state of mind, and don't bother memorizing anything else in the last moment.
Yeah,
Kaustubh, would you like to
absolutely.
add anything? Yeah.
Just one thing that, like Swarnadeep said, last moment studies won't help as much as, and they can instead do more harm to you, especially in an exam like CAT, where there are not a lot of concrete formulae or concepts that you need to know or that you need to learn. It's more about how you're able to interpret the questions and how you're able to calculate or solve them. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. One more question for you, Kaustubh. I hope you can see Madhvi Srivastava has asked, is coaching necessary for the preparation?
Right. So I would like to answer this question in two parts. Firstly, coaching as a means to give mock tests, and secondly, coaching as a means to learn from the mentors. So obviously, mock tests are, I think, a must-have for CAT. You need to be accustomed with the format, with the the three sections, how to attempt those, the best strategy you need to come up with before the exam for yourself. And that can only come from mock tests and sectional tests. Sectional tests are also very important. Sometimes people don't realize the importance of them as much as mock tests, but for me, I personally felt like I improved more from sectionals rather than mock tests because sitting in a mock test for 2 hours, it was difficult at times to find out 2 hours in a day in a stretch or have that commitment to give an entire mock test. But sectional tests were 40 minutes and each section you could sit at any point of the day and can attempt any section that you're in the mood of. And that is something that helped. Now coming to the part about coaching, like if you want, it's a good thing, but again, it's completely up to you basically. So if you think you need mentorship, you can go for a coaching. And if you feel like you can do it on your own, then probably not. So yeah, again, it's completely
Okay.
up to the individual.
Okay. Thank you for answering that, Kaustubh. Swarnadeep, coming back to you. There's a question has been asked by Kaustubh Ghushal. So, how to get good result? I would like to add one more point to this. We are always worried about good result, and people say that just don't fear of failure, whereas somewhere, we are just scared that we'll fail. So,
Yeah,
did
I
you
think.
overcome that feeling, and what exactly you did to score so well in your examination? We just want to know that.
Yeah, I think more than the fact how to get a good result, I think I focused on how to get the processes correct because good results are just a byproduct of good processes. More often than not, you will find people with good process will eventually do well. I mean, it's just a question of 1 or 2 good days. So coming to the point, I think I focused a lot on my processes because I was very sure of the timeline that I'm following during my preparation, and I sort of assessed myself from regular intervals. And so every 1 month or so, I would check my mock performances, where is the curve going and where exactly am I lacking. So I think that really helped me, because whenever those processes were followed correctly, I saw that mental confidence also building up. I could realize that yes, I can do this. And the only way to remove your self doubts is if you can prove it to yourself through your own processes, through your own mock results, that yes, you are worthy enough of doing it. Only then will the confidence come. So yeah, I would say work really hard for it. Work hard till that level of confidence is reached, that you know yourself that okay, I'll do well. That is what I focused on during my preparation.
Kaustubh, I'll be asking you a question, but before that, those who are just curious to know about FMS, we are not discussing any college here particularly, whereas we are just discussing about stress management. So if you have any question related to that, then feel free to just send it, and we would be happy to answer it. Kaustubh, there's a question: how important is relaxed state of mind before exams? Though we have discussed it, but if you could just add your experience, different angle to it, that would help.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's very important, not just before exams, but in life in general as well. So, yeah, again, like me and Swandeep discussed some of the things that we did to de-stress ourselves before the exams. You might need to find something like that. On the D-Day, maybe you can play some games, watch movies, something that de-stresses you. Uh, and having said that, it's very important to be in that mindset and to go in that mindset and not be too anxious about the exam on the D-Day, because that is a very negative sign. And try and get a good sleep before the exam, at least 7, 8 hours. Uh, be in the best mindset, and yeah, that is what I would say. Swandeep, if you would add anything.
Yeah, that's very similar for me as well. And another word of advice to people who have their slots later on, the second and the third slots: please don't ask questions to the first slot or the early slot guys, and don't try to have any pre-biases in your mind, because I've seen a lot of people who do this. They try to gauge the difficulty level of the different sections, but it doesn't work that way. And normalization will take care of things. So you just focus on your part, because it's good to go with a free mind and not with any bias for any sections.
What I am assuming is that you both have scored really well in your examination. That means, you were quite confident and focused what you are up to. So when we just talk about stress, there are again two types of stresses: you stress and over stressing ourselves. You stress is very important so that we just be motivated to give examination. But when we come to over stress, it leads us to anyways just fail in all the aspects that we have prepared for. So there's a fine margin between these two. How did you decide that you are just getting over stressed, not to get stressed? If I just don't want to get stressed, how to just achieve it? Kaustubh, anything on this aspect? If you okay, I think internet. Kaustubh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, did you hear
Yeah,
the question? What I'm wanting to ask?
yes, I did
Yeah.
hear it.
So how did
And
you decide?
right. So yeah, very interested. It's important to have a certain amount of stress because it helps you stay focused and it helps you give your best. But having a lot of stress or overstressing is really quite the opposite of that. And the reason I said this because I have experienced it personally multiple times. There have been exams which I gave just for fun, and that didn't quite work out well. There were exams when I was overstressed that didn't work out well. But sometimes it's also just before the exam that you feel that you are in the zone and it's going to work out well. So sometimes it's your instincts also that tell you. So it was something like that for me. I don't know if it was similar for Swandeep. If you could add.
Yeah, I think it was very similar. I mean, I also focused on the same things. Yeah, I think a little bit of nervousness is a very good thing, because it sort of goes to show at the end of the day that you value and care for that, whatever you're giving. But I think, yeah, it shouldn't get to a stage where it starts mentally affecting your performance. I mean, it's not like I have solved this question time and again, and suddenly, just because I am feeling the heat in the exam hall, I'm not able to do it. That is something which I should avoid. And I think ideally, I would say what I did was music really works well for me. So on the D-Day, I try to listen to a lot of music, and I just whatever works for you, just keep yourself in that free state of mind, so that you are not super nervous. I mean, everybody's a bit nervous, let's be honest, but don't get to that stage where you're panicking and making mistakes.
Okay, now I've unmuted myself. Okay, so next up we have a question related to time management. So we would need your guidance on this. So Pranadeep, let's begin from you.
So time management, as in the exam or in the preparation?
In the exam, obviously in the examination,
So,
we can just
yeah, I think in
and
the
give the
examination.
combine it with my question. There's a question asked by Sagar Sahu. I'll just read it. I'm not able
Yeah.
to manage time given that I'm a regular trader in the market and I want to give CAT examination. So considering both the scenarios.
Yeah, so I think I've been in a very similar stage as well. So I think Sagar, what you need to focus on is proper management of your time, because market is open for 6 hours only, and I think as a trader you will take not more than 2 hours to do well in the market. So apart from that, you still have 22 hours left in the day, and I think it's just more than enough. I mean, CAT is a game of consistency in your preparation, and I'm pretty sure if you give 2 to 3 hours a day, that should be more than enough. Coming to the time management in exams, there is, I think, no fixed strategy, no holy grail, but different things work for different people. So, for example, for me, as Kaustubh really said, a VRC used to be a game where I will ideally try to attempt as much as possible, because my accuracy was again low like him. So there, it was a very conscious effort to go all out. And then in LRDI as well, I was very selective. So something which worked for me was first 10-12 minutes, I used to just prioritize the questions and not really solve anything. But again, that could be very dangerous for someone who hasn't tried this yet. In the quant section, again, I used to filter out the easy areas that I had. Now you will only realize your strengths and your easy topics when you give a lot of mocks and when you know yourself inside out. So that's my strategy. But I would say one thing that I would advise every candidate is, do not take the stress of one section to the other. So if you are not doing well in VRC, do not let that affect your performance in an LRD or quant. Don't overthink about all those whatever has gone past, because I've seen a lot of people who have given one section. They might have messed up one section, but in the next section they have carried the burden. So go to every section with a fresh state of mind, because you never know what the scores will be eventually.
We are less in time, so I'll just hop on to the next question. Kaustubh, I'm just directing this question to you. Madhvi has a question: as a non-mathematics student, how should I prepare myself for the CAT examination?
Right. So, first of all, I would like to clarify this, that the entire quant syllabus, or all the concepts that are there, are up to class 10 syllabus. Uh, and there's really nothing beyond that. Obviously, you need to put in a lot of hours into it, practicing questions, and realizing, like I said earlier, your strengths and weaknesses. So there are some people who are good with geometry, some not so good at it. There's some people who are good at arithmetic or algebra. You need to realize that while you're giving the sectionals and the mock tests. And once you have figured that out, you can go ahead with a strategy similar to mine that I've approached in the exam. I used to grade questions in quants in 2-3 tiers, 1, 2, and 3, based on the level of difficulty that I would assign to them. And on the first sort of skimming of the question paper in quants, I would attempt the tier 1 questions that were the easiest according to me in the first go. Then I would come back to the second tier questions, and finally tier 3 questions if I had time left with me. And fortunately, in the 2020 exam, which I appeared for, all of the questions fell into tier 1 and 2. So that was really fortunate. And so that was a strategy that I followed. And so we could take it from.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, very, very similar strategies for both of us. I feel like both of our strengths are very much aligned.
Yeah, I also feel the same.
Okay. Next up, we have a question from a viewer, and he's asking how to be focused. So, Swarnadeep, let's begin from you.
I think, focus is something which you only get when you most people would like to think of the results, but I would say it's a journey of being satisfied yourself with your own efforts. I mean, for me, it was very clear that I mean, you might have all the talent in the world, but then you would have to justify that talent by being hardworking as well. So, I mean, just be hardworking enough so that whatever talent you have, whatever people think you have, you should be able to justify that thing at the end of the day.
Okay, okay. Kausab, the last question is for you. Please give some last minute tips for BARC for the verbal ability.
Yeah, so like someone asked about being focused, and now this question about last minute tip for VRC. So I would like to mention one point that is common to both. Maybe you can try that out. Is that for the last couple of days, maybe you can try reading for fun. Uh, Pick up a book or some article that you find interesting and just go on about reading it. It would help you stay in the reading zone for VRC, which is very important, I feel, because reading is the single most important thing when it comes to CAT. So if you are in that zone and if you're able to read and comprehend quickly in VRC on the D-Day, you would end up scoring well.
We all take study breaks, right? But now there's a concept of smart break tips. So, do you believe in that? Are there any smart breaks during a study or something like that? Or we have only 2 days, so any kind of tips that would help? How you used to utilize that break time? Swanedeep, how you used to just use it?
Yeah, I mean, I used to listen to a lot of music. I mean, I just love music and I used to keep up with the sports as well. So I love watching a lot of sports. So I used to keep up with the cricket and football scores as well. But yeah, I mean, I would say don't take too many breaks because that's something which I believe in a more concentrated form of study rather than taking too many breaks.
Okay. And Kaustubh, what about you? What you used
Yeah,
to do?
so when I was preparing for CAT, I was in the final year of my college, and during the time of the exam, that is November end, I had my end semesters, my final placements, as well as CAT, all three at the same time. So it
Hmm.
wasn't really possible for me to allot specific time to each of these things. So what I did was that I
Hmm.
actually, whenever I found, like I said, I found a 40-minute slot within the day. I used to attempt a sectional test and so on. In the morning, I used to, bookmark some articles from my Facebook feed that I would go on to read during the day whenever I found time. So this was sort of like the preparation approach that I followed. There was never a certain specified time for preparing or anything like that.
Okay, okay. I got it. So, yesterday I was having word with few of the students, and they said during their study break, what they prefer is they start using their mobile phone so that even during their break time, they just get some knowledge regarding any of the entrance exam they're just sitting for. So, Sonadeep, do you think that it's good to use mobile phones and still be just, knowledge seeking at that time? What your opinion on this?
I mean, I think even if you're taking a break, breaks are meant to be enjoyed, right? There's no point, being taking a break and then going back to the same thing which you're doing. I mean, you're fooling around basically. So I would say if it's a break, take a proper break. I mean, there is no point in doing that, those kind of things. And if it's not a break, if you're doing something serious, then I would probably, I actually avoid mobile phones because of a lot of social media notifications which I get. So I would rather avoid it during my study time.
Okay. So I think it's time to wrap up our session for today, but we are not leaving you like this. We need to have a word of wisdom from both of you. So let's begin from Kaustubh.
Yeah, so all I can add to what is already being said is that stay focused, back your strengths, and just to reiterate that you by now have realized that what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. You have given a lot of sectionals and mock tests. Another thing that I would like to add is that by now you would have realized the level of preparation you are at, and some of you might be very well prepared, but still you might be wondering that if you would be able to do well on the exam on the D-Day or not, and that might be making you anxious. So just remember that all the effort that you have put in is going to reap rewards, And secondly, another thing that when you are so anxious, even if you're well prepared, the thought of reattempting the exam or appearing for it next year comes to mind. And I would strongly advise not to think about that, because even if you are planning to reattempt next year, or maybe you are thinking that you're half prepared, go into the exam thinking that this is your last attempt. Because if that thought remains on the back of your mind, it will come to haunt you during the exam, and it's almost a certainty that you will have to appear for it again. So that is something that I would add. And after everything is said and done, it is you going to be in front of the screen for 2 hours, and you have to, collect yourself and deliver the best results. So best of luck to
No.
everyone.
So, Swanadeep, now coming to you, your concluding words.
Yeah, your Costa pretty much summed it up beautifully. I mean, just to add to that, I mean, yeah, your results depends on two things: one, your level of preparation, and two, your temperament on the D-Day. So I think the first has already been done. You can't change that right now. But as far as the second point is concerned, that is something which stands out for me, because there are many people who come in with good preparation and then maybe flunk a bit in the D-Day, and then there are some people who, given the level of preparation that they have, they tend to overpunch on the D-Day. So always try to be in the second category, and always believe in yourself that no matter what the preparation you have had, you can be the best version of yourself on that day. I mean, you just need your best mock to be on the D-Day. That's it. So all the best to all the participants appearing for CAT this year.
And thank you to Swanadeep and Costa for giving us time and answering all our queries.
Thank
And
you so
thank you
much.
to all of
Thank you
you
for having
for
us.
being with us. Yeah. Thank you to all the viewers for being with us and sending across relevant questions to us. And Shiksha is coming up with another Instagram live session at 4:30, and where we are just going to discuss about life at NIFT. So you can just check out that live session, and if you have any questionnaire related to that, you can just feel free to send us. Even you can just direct message us. And even this video is available on the Shiksha Instagram just after this live session will be ended, and it will also be available on Shiksha YouTube channel. But for that, we need at least 1 to 2 days to upload it, and so that you can just go through all the pointers our guests have shared. And I hope that will help you. And with this, I am Shilpa signing off. Till then, take care and keep dreaming high. Bye.